Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to another video and another F1 23 game ideas video. Today's episode is all about R&D. If you've missed any of the previous two episodes about my team career mode last week and driver career mode and more of a general career mode video, I'll try and remember to leave an thing to the playlist where you go and check that video out, and of course subscribe if you're new to the channel to see plenty more F1 23 game idea videos as when they come out. First point is having the return of the R&D tree and overview, and I think it's a must because I like to plan my upgrades, and also one thing that I don't like about where it currently does in the blocks, also doesn't show you unless you go onto the purchase upgrade screen, and when you've maxed out everything it doesn't show you or where you are, so you can't actually see where your car, how fast your particular car is, where the driver or my team career mode compared to all the other teams on a particular department. So that definitely needs to be fixed as well. But the R&D tree is a great overview. It allows you to plan and visualize the upgrade path that you want to choose in making upgrades, and I feel a return would basically allow. I'll move to my second point, which is the main reason why I've decided to bring the R&D tree back, is so we can have better visualization of minor, major and ultimate upgrades. It's a big thing that I don't like about the current R&D model, is you can't visualize those three different. So yes, you can see with the resource points, but you have to go and click on them. Like if you just want a general overview of where these ultimate upgrades, where the major, where the minor ones are, then the R&D tree is a great idea. And even if they don't do that, having the same blob, we want a different representation on the close-up as well for these three things. Like, maybe make it I think it was a hexagon, or for a minor one, and then it was a square and a rectangle for major and ultimate upgrades on the old R&D tree, and that would be nice if they had that visualization back in the game for F1 23, so at least then we can distinguish between the two different style of upgrades. Number 3, different R&D tree for new regulations. This is an idea I've had ages and ages and ages ago, and it sort of was based on what happened in F1 2016, where you could literally have a thing where you stopped developing R&D points. You stopped the ability to spend an R&D points to save for the next season. As well, you had that option in F1 2016, and only F1 2016, even though we had R&D wasn't really a thing back then. It was just there were only 20 upgrades as opposed to more we've got now. But having that, the way the things does regulations is bad. And I personally think having that separate tree, because they've already come up with these different style trees as well for the different engine manufacturers, and as well, although I have noticed that we're getting the same air upgrades for my Red Bull career mode that we are from AlphaTauri. So I think they need to restore that. If they had what they had similar back to F1 2019, I think, where they had different R&D trees for everyone, and they had different upgrade paths that you could take, then that would definitely be a bonus, and you can swap those out for another tree. You don't have to develop 10 trees. You only need to develop some. But yeah, I understand that you want different ones for each driver career mode team, but then swap it out for somebody else's one as well, if that's the upgrade path that the team or you want to particularly pick for the following season, the new regulations. Number 4, sort of based on F1 Manager, this bit is different stages of an R&D part. Now again, this slightly relates to number 3, because obviously you've got the research impact as well. But also you've got design and manufacturer. Obviously there is no budget cap in my team career mode or driver career mode, unlike in F1 Manager. But F1 Manager differs because you don't have that manufacturer option. So I guess you're getting against the cost cap and against how it is in real life. But obviously in driver career mode you shouldn't have control of that, but the team should let you know how many have been manufactured necessarily as well, and they may choose to spend money manufacturing more of them, more front wings or more sashes, etc., that are particularly needed as well. So let me know what you think about that. If you'd want to see a system like the one that's in an F1 Manager, which mirrors real life, be implemented into the F1 game. Number 5 is more a driver career mode one. It's teams R&D upgrades, and again this relates to driver contract status, which obviously we don't have in driver career mode. But if the team, for example in my Red Bull career mode, we've got Leclerc, and Red Bull have upgraded that car towards Leclerc particular driving style. They might not want me making these rear downforce upgrades that I have been making in these driver career mode videos, because it affects Leclerc's driving style, for example. But obviously if you're a first driver, then you get more of a pick. That's something to think about as well, making sure that you have the team is obviously the one that comes first, and they ultimately should be able to choose the upgrade path that they want to take for you, with obviously your input. Number 6, a little bit harder to implement, but engine supplier changes. And what I mean by this is having customer teams like McLaren, Williams, etc., being able to change engine suppliers. There's probably a licensing issue, which is why it hasn't happened, but I don't think they've actually inquired whether or not if it's possible to happen as well, because I think they've allowed driver transfers now. Why not allow engine supplier transfers? That would be something very interesting to see, like a Williams Ferrari, McLaren powered by Ferrari, for example. Obviously or maybe even obviously Red Bull will make their own engine now, technically speaking, so obviously they would still supply themselves, and obviously they'd probably make sense to lock off AlphaTauri, although you probably have seen more, but got like Aston Martin maybe powered by Ferrari, or something along those lines would actually spice up and change people's career modes as well, and add more into it as well. And also going to add a little bit of an extra one into that, is because of course in my team you should be able to build your own engine as well, and then supply customer teams as well, so it works both ways then. Number 7, link failures to durability at R&D. This is about the 2 types of failures, where you have obviously the failures that make you retire out of the race. They should identify what's been, or even when you have an issue in the race, they should identify the problem and say, oh, such and such a problem was thing, we can rectify this by purchasing an R&D part, or this part R&D part has failed and we need to, but the cheap version there would be to repurchase it, although you probably ideally want a separate tree. This hasn't worked, we're going to divert this part of the tree into another upgrade path, and this hopefully should work and fix the issue that we've been having, etc. Something along those lines. And obviously you've got those failures from quality that you have to start qualifying as well. Link those also back to the durability R&D tree in the same way as well. Number 8, AI team discounts. They don't apparently, and I've seen this when I moved to Red Bull, they had no discounts, they had no R&D points off. So the AI teams are doing their own upgrade programs and obviously doing their own R&D stuff. So they should also get R&D points off. It shouldn't be about the player, and I think that's where sometimes the R&D teams stall compared to yourself as well. Obviously, they need the better upgrade part. That, you know, if they have that, then they can link in the better upgrade pass and make sure that it's actually a little bit more competitive. Because I feel like it's very easy when you, especially my team, where you've got all these R&D parts off, especially when you've like not purchased anything, you've got like 100% off. All the teams have to purchase about full whack, so you know it's a little bit unfair in that respect. So they definitely need to change that, make it a little bit more of a challenge R&D wise in the upgrade race. Number 9, something that really annoyed me from F1 2021's career mode, and I think I'm going to have the same issue in F1 22, is basically every team should have the same potential as well, because obviously each the team can max out on their R&D, but the different levels of R&D are different compared to each team, and obviously it's based on the real life performance. So you're always going to have Red Bull and Mercedes potential on that little whatever that number is on that R&D upgrade part line graph. Effectively, you know, every team should be able to reach the maximum number of R&D points or development, whatever that number maintains. And the final idea is pretty simple, and that's to get the real F1 teams involved and ask, how do you do R&D? How do you want how best should we represent R&D in the game? Get them on board, get them involved, all 10 of them as well, and then they can come up with, okay, this is how we've agreed on how it should be represented in the game, close to real life. And you know, that way you're providing the player with a realistic experience of R&D, as opposed to just click on purchase, magically a part gets added to the car, which isn't technically realistic compared to you know, like F1 Manager, etc, etc. So that's just been it for today's video. I hope you have enjoyed. If you did, leave a like. If you've got any of the ideas of your own, then please do let me know in the comments below. If you are new to the channel, please do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. Until the next video then, I'll see you next time. Take care, thanks so much for watching, enjoy your day, and goodbye.